What's good, y'all? This is Robert here, and today we're just gonna be chatting. It's just gonna be one of those like chill type of conversations. And yeah, today I have you see I don't know if you can see him yet, but we have Mr. Evan Michael Lee in the corner, and we're just gonna be chatting about stuff. Yeah, all kind of stuff. So thank you for joining me this fine sunny afternoon, sort of overcast, but still nice weather today. So yeah, thank you for joining me.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun, and yeah, this is probably gonna be like 30 minutes or so. Just, one of the shorter ones because I actually don't really have much to discuss if I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, we're just gonna make the best of the time that we do have here. So yeah, let's
Sounds
get
good. Let's rock and
started.
roll. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I would just ask like, so how did you get into so? But I wanted to ask you specifically, so was acting or performing kind of like always something that you wanted to do since you were a kid, or did you dabble into like other, like if you had like other career aspirations when you were a kid, or like how did you start? How would you describe your childhood from a young age?
I describe my childhood as a fairly normal childhood. I had a really good childhood. I wasn't always into acting. I wasn't a child actor or anything like that. I when I was in high school, I had a buddy of mine who would do these like little short, kind of silly films and whatnot. And he would always ask me to be in them, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, because I liked him or whatnot. He's a good guy. And then like I would watch him edit them, like a couple of them. He was like, you know what, you're actually a pretty good actor. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I never really thought much of it. Didn't really take it to heart or anything until I got to college, and then I realized I don't really have any desire for any of these degrees. And now I went to Auburn University, and I went to a great college, but I just wasn't really inspired for anything. And then I thought like, well, Mike Oden really said I was a kind of a good actor. Let me see if they have like a theater department, and it turns out they do, or they do. And I signed up, and I guess you could say the rest is history, because I fell into it. I fell in love with it, and it forced me to, no pun intended, get my act together. And it was like kind of one of the first things in life I really took seriously.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
I think I was just kind of like, like everyone that grew up, I just watched like a lot of animation,
Yeah.
and a lot of
Yeah.
movies, and I started getting interested into because I always wanted to be like, I don't know, an actor that you see on like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and what have you. But
Yeah.
at the time, I just didn't really know how to break into showbiz. Kind of still don't, if I'm going to be honest. But I mean, at least there's VO. You can just record from home, and then you just, it's still acting. Like you're acting, you bring a character to life, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's just kind of. I think we're just kind of like have similar like dreams, and the good stuff. We just kind of have like similar backgrounds, and yeah, of being up on the stage, and then just getting a taste of like the whole like performing, like acting,
For sure.
getting
For
that thing.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's more, yeah, like you said earlier. I mean, it is more than just voices. I mean, you have to be a good actor to be a good voice actor.
Mhm.
So I would say anyone focus on being a good actor first, and then the rest will kind of fall into place.
Yeah. Do you have like any like particular memories of like any positive experiences of being up on the stage? Like anything in particular that stood out at school for you?
Oh man, so many memories. I mean, I'll start with the first one. My beginning acting class, my teacher gave us this our final scene. She gave everyone a final scene. We had to like buddy up with someone, and she gave me a scene from this show called Top Dog Underdog. Unbeknownst to my acting teacher, my parents always get tickets to the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, and every time I come home, they always like say, "We're gonna go see a show." We're not. And my mom was like, "Oh, when you come home, we're gonna go see a show. It's this play. I've never heard of it. It's called Top Dog Underdog." Unbeknownst to either one of them. So I was like, oh, well, this almost feels serendipitous. So we go see the show, and it's only a two-man show. And about halfway through the production, it's as if everyone was gone. And it was just me watching these two put on a masterclass of a performance. And that's when I knew in that moment, I want to do this. Like, I want to be an actor. Like, yeah, this solidified it. I want to do what they're doing. and I took that with me, and it just really was one of those core memories of acting. And then similarly, I did Godspell my senior year of college. It's musical. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. I didn't grow up singing. I'm not like the biggest singer, but I was forced to, not forced. I had the privilege of playing Jesus in the show for a host of reasons. Won't go into it now, but it was a blessing in disguise because it forced me to do something I was so outside of my wheelhouse. And you know what I mean, all I had to do was just jump. That's all I could do, and it turned out to be one of the most memorable times on stage I think I've ever had.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
is very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're a singer, but it could be
um,
very vulnerable singing in front of a bunch of people I don't know their background in singing, but I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous, but I think I did a good job.
I mean, I kind of warm up by singing like Bee Gees or Bohemian Rhapsody or I don't know, Frank Sinatra because I'm kind of, 70s. I'm kind of old-fashioned.
Yeah,
I just like, the classics for nostalgia because, my family just was born and raised on a lot of like, 60s, 70s and 80s, stuff. So I just kind of was influenced by them, and now that's
yeah,
pretty much how I am as a person. Whenever I talk about like, oh, did you have you seen this movie from like way back when? And then somebody on I don't know social media is like, I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
sure,
Yeah, or I
yeah.
haven't. I know that band, but I just never. I mean, I know that a lot of us are like Pink Floyd or Beatles or that stuff. So it's like that's kind of like why I because personally for me I just started getting into like musicals and theater, so it's like when somebody
Mhm.
mentions like, oh my gosh, Avenue Q or like Pippin, uh
Yeah.
those musicals, I'm like, I've heard of them, but I for some reason have never really I mean, I know the Disney stuff, like I know Little Shop of Horrors and whatnot, but like if we're talking musicals from like way back when, I'm just kind of lost. I'm sorry. But I
No,
mean,
it's
I'm
all
not
fine.
like it's not movies that I'm really lost on, but it's the musicals. I'm like, okay, you may need to like refer me to some. I mean,
Yeah,
thankfully
brush up
though,
on it.
people have yeah, refresh me. Yeah, but people have referred to me with some pretty bombing albums. That's all I'll say.
Okay,
Um,
okay, that's
yeah,
good. That's
neat
good.
albums. But anyways, getting off track here. I mean, which is normal, so I really shouldn't even be,
Listen,
apologizing for that. Yeah.
listen. I love a good tangent, so you're in good company.
Yeah. But I was just looking at your like little like bio or IMDb, and you've been in a lot of stuff, my guy. You've been in Guilty Gear, you've been in like Tekken,
hmm
WWE, just all
hmm
franchises that people are familiar with. So,
hmm
would you say that all of these are like, you know, um, franchises that you wanted to work for, you wanted to be a part of since you were a kid, or did you have like a list of like a bucket list of, growing up with just all these amazing franchises and being like, you know what, when I become a voice actor, I would love to work on this or this or this in the future, or it's just kind of like stuff that just kind of took you by surprise and you're like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm doing now.
It's
Okay,
actually
I guess
it's
I signed up for
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually that. All of those things that you just listed, they all took me by surprise. Like Camp WWE was the first thing I ever auditioned for voiceover wise. I didn't have a demo, a reel. I
Really?
never took a class a day in my life. I grew up
Really?
a wrestling fan. My older brother
Yo.
introduced me to wrestling, yeah, at a young age, and I've been watching it ever since. So like when I saw that the WWE was doing an animated show, I reached out to my manager. I was like, "Hey, do you think you could give me an audition for this? I think I'd be good for it." I went through a series of auditions, like several rounds. I ended up getting it, but like that was like a full circle moment because again, like I was saying, like I grew up watching wrestling. And so like be able to one day share that with my brother, like, yo, I'm in like the WWE. Like it was such a cool moment. Similarly, with Tekken and Guilty Gear, my brother and I, we grew up, and a lot of my friends, we grew up playing fighting games, Tekken and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, blah, 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 blah. So to be in a fighting game was like oh, like the kid in me was screaming. And then to be part of Tekken, like again, my brother and I, we had wars during Tekken, over Tekken and whatnot. So like that was another full circle moment. So it's nice to do these things that I can share with my family. We can all like celebrate in it together. Of like, this is like really cool. This is really really cool. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do have my little, I guess, dream franchises that I would like to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like Nintendo, Square Enix, the list just kind of goes on.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that's also one thing that I'm beginning to do this year. It's having a specific list of goals to get done in a year. Like for this month, I got the usual stuff like auditions, classes, workshops,
Mm-hmm.
and that stuff. But also getting it, getting in touch with more VAs. Not
Uh-huh.
just VAs, but like casting directors, agencies, and um, getting your name out there and show people what you've got. And yeah, because being in the industry, this is pretty much what I do here. Like the podcast is like me just talking to people and just you know, because like it really is a small world. You find a lot of people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, but they also have a lot of interests that you do. They've also like anime, video games, um,
For
and
sure.
music, and that's why I've had episodes that where I just talked about like animated movies. I talked about music. I've talked about anything because I just didn't want to focus. Just want to specifically focus it on VO.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you really surround yourself with people who are gonna um support you in what you do, and you talk about passionately talk about what's new and what's out right now, it can definitely go a long way. Like you just have no idea. Like that's why I usually say the advice that I would give out is find people who are going to be your cheerleaders and who also are just as passionate about this as much as you are. That's
Yeah.
probably the biggest piece of advice that I would give to people for this year. Um, on not just on this podcast, but just pretty much for life in general.
Right.
Having a good support group and system can really, it can go a long way.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Because, like, let's be honest, there's going to be moments of downtime in this industry. So,
Yeah,
when those
yeah, yeah.
moments do happen, it's good to be surrounded with people who can help uplift you. And then there's going to be moments when they're going to be down, and you'll be right there to uplift them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me see. So you said that WWE was the first project, big project that you have
Out,
auditioned
out.
for.
Yep, out the gate.
Yeah. So I kind of have to ask,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I really asked this very often on here, but what was I mean, I know you said that they were like some of the big, like, it just took you by surprise when you actually booked it, but like, what are some of the other like projects that you actually ended up booking, or like not even that, but like the auditions that you've received, whether it's from an agent or et cetera, et cetera? What were some of the biggest ones that you can actually talk about? Because I know there's probably some NDA stuff that is kind of like, there, but what were some of the biggest ones that definitely took you by surprise thus far?
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Like for the stuff that's out right now, without question, Guilty Gear. I mean, I think in my when I look back at my voiceover career, like yeah, Camp WWE was like my first, but Guilty Gear I think was the lightning rod that really kind of took my voiceover career off. You know what I mean? Like I didn't realize getting to be Nagoriyuki would be one of the coolest things I'd ever get to do in life, but here we are, and I'm so grateful to everyone who has been so kind and said so many nice words and but yeah, just it's yeah, it's been really, 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 really nice. And then one thing that did surprise me, and I didn't realize how cool the experience was going to be, was getting to be a Johnny in Magic the Gathering. Um, like uh like like most of us, you get an audition from your agent, and a lot of times it's just a code word or a code name, so you don't really know what it is you're auditioning for until you get there. And then I got it, and it was with Keith Silverstein, who I think I see is right over your shoulder. He
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It was me and him just in the booth, and we had to do the facial capture where they put the helmet and the camera on us. And when we got there, that's when they told us this is going to be for Magic the Gathering's newest campaign. And I know Keith's a big Magic fan. I've always been aware of it, but I never played it growing up. But I knew how their trailers looked, so I knew it was going to look really, really cool. So that one surprised me. So when they told me it was Magic, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to put this on my reel. And then
Yeah,
yeah, I have some stuff coming out. Henceforth, it's a lot of really cool stuff, but I will share that as
totally.
time goes on.
Of course, yeah. Funny story about Keith here.
Uh huh.
So I met him at what was it? I know it just passed this past
Uh huh.
weekend. But Anime Los Angeles, like here
Oh
in like,
yeah.
yeah, which funny enough is in Long Beach. So now it used to be in like Ontario, but
Yeah.
Long Beach, they just had it this past weekend. I met him shortly before COVID actually started. Like this was
Okay.
back in January, and this is back when we can just still just go to cons and not have to worry about like I mean we can end up getting flus or colds, but not like a deadly virus that could.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah, so I met Keith by total surprise actually, because I didn't even know that he was going to be at the con as a guest. I went that Sunday
Uh huh.
and I got that autograph from him. And I'm not sure if you can see,
Oh,
but
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, right under it's I got an autograph from Tony Oliver, just great
Nice.
dude.
I know
And
Tony.
I got like a lot of signatures around my room because like I said, I'm I say that I'm like a child at heart because I like supporting actors and they just inspire me whenever every time I meet somebody in person, I'm like, hey, your work kind of, you know, I really like your performance. And I was just like, and then in secret, I would just say, like, I really like your performance because I'm going to steal it at some point. I mean, it's true because good actors borrow, great actors steal. But yeah, Keith, to be honest, like, he is somebody who just blows my mind because he is one of those people that are just like, you hear him at one project because they're just kind of like, there's somebody that you don't really recognize right away because until you like look at the credits and it's like, oh my gosh, that's them. Whoa, okay. So they just have Keith has a lot of versatility and I got really lucky that I got to meet him like
Yeah.
just totally unexpectedly, might I add. So yeah, it was just he's awesome. I'm just really
Yeah.
glad that you got to actually, work
Oh
with him and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Keith
Yeah.
is a powerhouse. He is a powerhouse of an actor. So yeah, getting to
Yeah.
work alongside with him, I was like, oh, I gotta sit up a
So
little bit straighter, you know. I
oh
was
yeah.
like,
So besides like, Keith or
Keith is
and
no slouch.
yeah, besides Keith and Tony that I just mentioned, who are any I know this is gonna be I know it's kind of like, choosing your favorite child, but if
Yeah.
you would like to also name drop, VAs that you also are inspired by or just inspirations, it could be like people that you know IRL, online, just whoever inspired you to get started on your journey, or just people who still inspires you even right now as we're talking on this
Oh
podcast.
man, it's
Yeah.
true. I'm gonna be that mom. It's like I can't pick my favorite child, you know. It's
Yeah,
like I love
it's
all
like
my
choosing your
children.
favorite role, favorite anything, projects. Yeah, if we're gonna extend to that. Yeah, just
Yeah,
favorite anything.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah, there's so many people. Like, I don't even want to like name specific because I don't want to start and then
I don't
like
want to
leave.
leave out anybody. Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't want to
Yeah,
leave
yeah,
anyone
yeah.
out, and then people like think I don't like remember them or anything like that. But no, there are tons, and I'm sure you would know these people as well. There are tons of
Yeah.
VAs right there who are
Probably
just
some that I actually had on
killing
the
it.
show
Yeah,
too.
yeah, they're just crushing it right now. Who I'm just
Bro,
always in
yeah.
awe of, and they make me want to raise my game too. I'm like, okay, all right,
Yeah, for real.
no slouches, y'all, no slouches. Okay.
Just just if you see another class or workshop, just get on it. Pump
Yeah.
out those auditions, bro. Let's go.
For sure.
Get
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
grind.
It's like, yeah, and it's like oh, I was going to go back to what you were saying earlier, but like about advice and whatnot. I don't know how you are, how other people are. Everyone is different, but I know
Uh,
for me, I can times get very overwhelmed when like too much is coming at me at once.
yeah.
So what I would tell people who maybe are starting off in the voiceover world, or you know maybe have a little bit more experience than others, um, do just one thing a day. You know, if you really, I would say this more so to people who are starting off in their journey. It's easy to get overwhelmed, and there's a lot of information out there. Don't try to eat an entire buffet in one city. You know what I mean? Just do one thing a day, because that's what I did. I started in really started leaning into it in around 2019, and I was just doing one thing a day. I was looking up casting directors, I was looking up actors, I was looking up studios, I was looking up microphones, but just
That's
like
what I was doing.
one thing a
Yeah.
day. And then by the time a Guilty Gear comes around, you can look back and go, "Wow, I really got the ball
Oh, did
rolling with
I?
this." So like
Oh,
I'm like
okay.
I'm ready for this, and I didn't realize I was going to be ready for this until it just fell into my not fell into my lap, but till I auditioned and then I got it. But yeah, just do one thing a day.
True, true. So what about any, because I know you said you grew up with like Guilty Gear and like the fighting games, wrestling.
Okay, so I actually didn't. I never. I've said this before. I never played Guilty Gear growing up.
Oh, okay.
Never played. I was always aware of the game. You know what I mean? I've always heard
Okay.
of it. But again, like I said, I was always like a Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, blah 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 blah. I really
Not
think they
even
should bring
Smash Bros?
some. Yeah, yeah, Smash Bros. I think they should bring back Bloody Roar at some point. But that's I don't
Oh,
know. I don't know when we're gonna get that. You know,
oh, okay.
I don't know when we're gonna
Evan
get
over
that.
here. No, no, no. Evan over here being like, just
No,
polishing nails.
no. I don't. I'm not a part of the project or anything. I don't even know if they're even making one. But I'm saying if someone's hearing me out there, they should remake Bloody Roar because that game was amazing. But I was always aware of Guilty
This
Gear. Yeah. I was
just
always aware of
something
Guilty
different.
Gear. Um, but then like yeah, once I got in the game, I went back and like kind of started looking up previous iterations of Guilty Gear, and I was like, oh man, this game is a lot cooler than I initially should have given it credit for. And now, yeah, I think this
Yeah.
one, this the Strive one is definitely um I'm hesitant to even say putting on the map, but I think Strive came out at a really great time. It was like 2021, we're like pandemic fatigue, so like I think the fighting game community needed something to like
And I guess that everybody also needed Animal Crossing because the timing when that came out.
man, everyone leaned into Animal Crossing. I'm like, bruh, what are we doing?
It's kind of like no, no, no. I remember when Pokemon Go came out a few years ago, but we weren't in a pandemic or anything. But I remember that summer when I went to Vegas, everybody was on their phone just trying to catch like a shiny, just uh Oshawan or whatever was hot at the time, and now people are just stuck at home doing Animal Crossing. So it's like, you know how people are out and about on their phones? No, people are at
Yeah.
home playing Animal Crossing and not going anywhere. So it's kind of funny how like this one game comes out and then everybody is like, oh, same with Among Us. Don't even get me started with Among Us.
That is so funny you say that because when Pokemon
Yeah,
Go came out, me and some friends, we went to downtown Burbank, because we were like, let's just walk around because like it's a great
Bing
walking
is so
area.
nice.
Yeah. We're like, we're just gonna play, and then it was
Yeah.
about maybe an hour into like playing. I just happened to look up, right, and the game just came out, right, and I looked around. Everyone else was doing the exact same thing. I've never seen anything like that a day of my life. I was like, oh man,
When I went to
we are
yeah.
all addicted. We're all
I was at
addicted.
I was at Anime Expo one year, literally when Pokemon Go made a resurgence at some point, but
Yeah.
everybody was like was doing like on their phones, and I was just walking around like I don't know, kind of enjoying the scenery. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
sounding like a boomer, but that's what I was doing.
No, I totally hear you because like everyone, like when I was in Burbank, everyone was just like zigzagging, ever, you know what I mean, like
I
running
was
and
just
trying
kind
to
of
get.
looking at like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and I
It was
was
it was kind of a madhouse for a minute, kind of a madhouse, but I loved
yeah.
it. I
I
loved it.
would want to work there someday. And people were like, got it. I'm like, oh, Cartoon Network's across this. I was just looking at stuff and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so, but then to be fair though, my phone kind of sucked. It didn't really have good connection, so I couldn't really,
Oh. Oh.
yeah. I mean, I have a good phone now, thank God, but
Yeah.
yeah,
At
it's
the
still
time.
like, at the time I was like, it is what it is. But yeah, I was actually gonna ask, like, besides wrestling and you know, d I said WWE, Mortal Kombat, and all that stuff. What other like, I guess, media that you grew up on that it's kind of a part of you?
I
What would you say?
mean, I mean, I would say no different than anyone else. Like I think everyone kind of grew up watching a Disney film or two, you know? I think
Yeah.
everyone has their favorite Disney film. I think
Yeah.
everyone read a comic book or two. I'm sure everyone has their favorite comic books. You know, me and my brother, we collected comic books for like a while, and he actually collected a lot more the trading cards than I did. He had like books of them, but like I always used to love like looking over his shoulder and just like seeing all the cards he got. So like obviously like a lot of like video games and comics and Disney and even my parents taking me to like theater as a kid, and they never once pushed acting on me like ever a day in my life, but they're so proud that like I'm an actor, but they never once pushed that on me. But I think looking back on my life, because I'm at a certain age where I begin reflecting on my life and like core memories and things that come up, it's like, oh man, like the writing was on the wall that I would be in voiceover. Like even if I didn't know it at the time or anything like that, like of course you would end up here, Evan. Like look around you, like look at all the things you were into. Like it just makes sense.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since I think we got a little time left, I
Mhm.
just wanted to ask you, like,
Sure.
um, whenever I have like somebody who is BIPOC, African American,
Yeah.
and people on the podcast, I may do an episode at some point with PGM or like VOC Takeover. They're just really awesome people. And I know that the conversation gets brought up from time to time of like, the struggles of working as an actor of color. And
Uh-huh.
since I am, of course, also African American, like in the BIPOC PGM, I'm on the list. So, yeah, I just wanted to ask you, like, I know it's different for everyone. Everyone has a different answer, but what would you say are some of the biggest hurdles or challenges that you've had to, I guess, overcome as somebody who is working in the industry, who is a part of the, African American culture? And yeah, some of the biggest challenges, the hurdles, struggles, and some of your biggest triumphs, working in the industry
I
thus
don't
far.
know if this is I don't know if it's necessarily been a challenge for me per se because I don't necessarily get a lot of times we don't get feedback as to like why you didn't get cast for something or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I we just don't never get those emails. But I will say from what I've observed and what I've gathered from others, it seems as though when it comes to casting there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to the conceptions of what African Americans can do. Because I think when there's a black character, obviously that should go to a black actor. But I think sometimes that is that we're pigeonholed to just those roles. And I think a lot of people have had the conversation out loud and proven that we can be more than just the black character in something. And I think it's just giving us the opportunity to showcase that is all we're missing. That's all it is, just opportunity.
Yeah, right on, right on. And I would ask about like agencies and the demos and some of the business stuff, but honestly, I think I've already done like in-depth like interviews with that type of stuff with previous guests. So what I will ask you in
Mhm.
particular was, let me see. So besides like the and how would you see like, the industry moving forward when it comes to more like authenticity or more diversity when it comes to voice actors, whether they're getting their start or
Uh-huh.
have been working in the industry for a while? Where do you see the future moving forward to in as we're in a new year, which I honestly still can't believe we're in 2023 now. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
how where do you see everything moving forward
Well,
in general?
I think we're actually witnessing it now. I know in
Oh yeah,
Hollywood, like in
totally.
particularly like in the film industry and television industry, we've in the last couple of years we've seen like hashtags like Oscar so white and like a lot of conversations about representation, and we're seeing more and more of it now. I mean, even with the Golden Globes last night, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
so I think
Oh,
the good news for everyone is I think we're witnessing the change that we've all been fighting to make. You know what I mean? So I can't see us going backwards henceforth. So I'm very optimistic and very
totally.
hopeful for the
Yeah.
future.
Oh, right on, right on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do want to bring up the pinned tweet that you have with Darth Vader. I cannot end this off without mentioning that. And yeah, I just want to say some of the stuff that we post would just blow up when we least expected. It's just so true. With social media, you just never know whenever something you post is gonna end up, becoming a huge hit overnight. And yeah, I just gotta bring that up.
That was my brother's idea to pin that tweet. He said pin that immediately. Um, I've
Didn't-
been doing I've been doing the Darth Vader the James Earl Jones Mufasa Darth Vader
Ah,
voice
we love
for
James.
since about I was about 20. That's when I started theater in college, and I was doing an audition. It was my first audition. I was talking with some guys, didn't really know them, but like they were cool. We were just like striking up a conversation. I don't know how we got on the subject of Disney, but I started doing the Mufasa opening monologue, and they were like, "Wow, that's really good. You should like bring that to like this your next callback for this play we're doing." I ended up getting like a smaller part in the production. It was Galileo, but the director really liked it, and then over the years, I kind of sort of silently cultivated it. I didn't really showcase it a lot to people. I told a few people, but like it wasn't something I really leaned into. It wasn't until last year when James Earl Jones announced that he was stepping away from the role and that Disney was going to lean into AI for the voice of Darth Vader. And I thought to myself, I could probably make a pretty mean Darth Vader in some capacity. And one of my former voiceover teachers, who I did the Mufasa monologue for his class, he messaged me, Andrew Racho, shout out to him, and said, "We need to jump on this now because I know you can do a mean James Earl Jones. And like the way news cycles goes, if we don't jump on this now, no one's going to be talking about it. So if you want to like my help, I can help you do this and we can film it and like blah, 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 blah." We did it all in one day. We did all those that you guys saw on Twitter. We did all those in one day. It took like 8.5 hours. My voice was thrashed by the end of it. But I started with that one, and I have never gone viral a day in my life for anything I've ever done. You know what I mean? I don't really have a huge social media presence. I'm just kind of, I would say, a normal guy. I don't know if I'm a normal guy.
To be
But
fair,
yeah,
I'm
no,
kind of the same way.
that was that was definitely a very interesting day for me, and
Yeah.
yeah, getting the nod from a one Mark Hamill was like
Yo, I was gonna ask, did Mark actually?
I was like, what is happening right now? Yeah, it was a wild day, wild day. So I would like to throw my name in the hat one day to play in some capacity, maybe not even for a movie, but I would love to be in the movie. But even for a video
Yeah.
game or an animated show, I would love to voice Darth Vader. If we're talking about like dream roles,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I'm for sure going to lean into that one.
What's wild is that Mark and I actually have the same birthday. So if you ever watch this, Mark,
When's your birthday?
September 25th, the same day as Mark Hamill.
Ah, love it. Shout out to Mark Hamill. Shout out to
Yeah.
you as well.
So that's a fun fact that I have.
I don't know if
Um,
anyone. I don't think anyone famous has my birthday. I don't know. Probably. I've never actually looked it
I
up.
mean, I share a few birthdays with quite a few celebrities, believe it or not. But yeah. What am I looking forward to in the future? I don't know, whenever that Mario movie comes out, because we've been getting like some pretty good video game adaptations made into movies. Like we got
Yes.
Pokemon, Sonic, and now Mario. So that should be pretty interesting. And as far as industry goes, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Um, for sure. Let's see. Anything else that you'd like to share coming up, or just,
I mean, like again, this is at the beginning of the year, so like Happy New Year to everyone, and I
oh
hope
yeah, Happy
everyone
New
has like
Year.
a great year. I feel like everyone is in this new space of feeling very hopeful, and it's been a couple of years since we felt that way for a
Oh
number
yeah.
of reasons. But I think everyone's feeling very hopeful now, so I hope everyone kind of keeps that with them throughout 2023, and I hope we all have a great year.
Totally,
You
totally.
know, just want to
I
put some
think if
positivity out in the world. You know.
exactly, we all need it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you have like any last piece of advice, or I think you're just pretty much just, you just nailed it right on the.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing I'll say is that like listen, this journey is it's I don't think I need to tell you this. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
And while you're, taking the marathon, enjoy the view. You know what I mean? Take in everything around you. Be a person. Go live a life. Like don't make your career your obsession, but enjoy the view till you get to the destination. And then when you do, have gratitude for it because there are a lot of people who wish they could be in your shoes. So yeah,
Definitely.
just
Um,
be grateful.
yeah. Yeah. Do you want to do an outro for the podcast?
Sure. Anything you want me to say in particular, or
Yeah, you could just say, my name is Evan Michael Lee. I am a voiceover artist. I play these roles, and
uh-huh.
you're listening to the Station Square podcast.
Okay. Hi, I'm Evan Michael Lee. I'm a voice actor. You may or may not have heard me in Guilty Gear Strive as Nagori Yuki, a Johnny Goldmane, and Magic the Gathering, and a couple of other things that are coming out in the future that we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And you are listening to, oh my God, I messed it up. I forgot the name.
No, it's you're watching or listening to the Station Square
The
podcast. So
Station
just that last
Square.
part.
And you are watching or listening to the Station Square podcast.
There we go. That's what we're gonna use. So, anyways, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned next time for whenever an episode comes out. And until then, Happy New Year. Stay safe, stay healthy, and yeah, hang in there, y'all. And I love y'all. You got this. Peace. Bye.